Dame Elizabeth Taylor is no longer with us, so I'll say it for her. Gladiator II.
Yes, Glad-2-ator. This is a super early review of Gladiator 2. This embargo just lifted today, so we want to get this out here for you as fast as we possibly could. I know a lot of you guys are very excited about it. Just from our out-of-the-theater reaction, a lot of people have very, very strong feelings about the original Gladiator, apparently. Yeah. I was unaware of this. I love learning about our audience. We've learned so much today. So thank you for being here. I promise you this is a non-spoiler review. There are revelations that occur in Gladiator 2. We will not share them here. They are for you to enjoy on your own. But the movie does not come out in theaters until November 22nd. So we are very early on this. Yeah. So you got to subscribe because we are here for you. We hear your demands and we are here to fulfill them. Hopefully you are entertained.
The greatest temple Rome ever built. The Colosseum. Because this is what they believe in. Power.
Okay, so this is 16 years after the events of the original Gladiator. Although Ridley Scott's film came out in 2000, that's 24 years ago, it is 16 years since Marcus Aurelius died. We now learn from a title card here from Ridley Scott's sequel that Rome, his vision of Rome has not come to fruition.
The dream of Rome, Christy.
The dream
of Rome, which they say like 20,000 times in this movie.
Right, a shining city on a hill.
The dream of the 90s is alive in Portland.
It is. So the dream of Rome has died, and we now have twin emperors who are capricious and cruel. They are played by Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things and from that Quiet Place prequel, and Fred Hechinger, who was in Thelma this year. He was lovely in Thelma, but not so much here.
And The White Lotus season 1.
Yes. And so they rule in cruel ways and everything is chaos. But Paul Mescal's character is this young soldier who is, when we first see him, he is fighting out in Africa, right? It's back
Nova Africa, I believe he refers to it as,
And so he goes to Rome. He is like, his destiny takes him back to Rome to go and fight, and comes across Pedro Pascal's character, who is now the general. We think he's going to kind of be the Russell Crowe figure here because he's like the noble general that, all his men adore him and will fight for him and die for him. And he's a good guy, it seems, but they cross paths. Yes, you want to say something?
No. Just you get this. You get this thing where like Paul Mescal really wants to kill Pedro Pascal because Pedro Pascal, destroyed his village. But then also Pedro Pascal is trying to overthrow the emperors, which I guess Paul Mescal would also be in favor of. So there's a lot of power plays going on here.
It's a little confusing. Also within that power play is Denzel Washington. Mm-hmm. Denzel is the gadfly fixer, man about town. He's Macronus, and he's just kind of got everyone's ear. He just kind of always knows what's going on. And when he sees Paul Mescal's character, who we learn is Lucius. This is not a shocker or a surprise. Look at IMDb. That's who he's playing here. He puts him in the ring and realizes like, oh, this guy can fight because he has incandescent rage radiating out from him. And so not unlike Russell Crowe. So they're both kind of like the Russell Crowe figure, not unlike Russell Crowe in the original Gladiator. They put him in the ring and he can destroy anybody. He can destroy animals. Whatever CGI animal you want to throw at him.
He's got star quality.
He really does. He's got that it factor, the X factor. And so it's how these two men are on this collision course with each other. And then Connie Nielsen is back as Lucilla. I was into it for a while because it's a different movie from the original Gladiator. It has some characters who carry over. Derek Jacobi is also back here as one of the senators. But it's a weirder movie and it's a bloodier movie. And as you pointed out, it's a gayer movie. And I was down for the risks that it takes for a while because so many sequels are just trying to beat for beat, or legacy sequels, or whatever you want to call them, are trying to like tap back into the nostalgia of the thing that you loved the first time. Right. And this has a lot of the same settings and some of the same characters, but it's a really different kind of movie in a lot of ways until it's not. And I eventually just found it kind of like, I'm kind of with you. Like I wasn't really into it after a while. And the CGI here still sucks. So in the first one, the CGI creatures, like the tigers in the first one,
And they have the excuse of it being 2000.
It was early CGI, but like now we have better technology. The first one is not my favorite Best Picture winner by any means, but I can see why it won.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a very old-fashioned, solid, sweeping historical epic. And it harkens to a kind of filmmaking, like a long ago filmmaking that I think people really responded to. And Russell Crowe is great in it. And it has all those quotable lines. I don't know that anything here ever matches that in terms of emotional sweep or in terms of like it being a cultural phenomenon. But it's solid.
Yeah, I mean, like, Ridley Scott knows how to direct, with big battle sequences. There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat. Like, those moments are thrilling. And there are moments where he embraces the sort of like over-the-top outrageousness of, Denzel Washington's character, who is very kind of like not only doing these sort of like machinations of like setting people against each other or like worming his way into positions of power, but like there's a campiness to that performance that he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And it made me think about Ridley Scott's House of Gucci, which is like, if you would just lean into what you're already doing, like you're clearly not afraid to be like wildly over the top and wildly like theatrical in a lot of ways, like just do it up that way the whole time, and I think we'd have something here. Like if all of House of Gucci had been pitched at the level of Jared Leto going, I just want to make him a line, it would have been a far more fun sit,
Let Gaga be Gaga.
Exactly. I think if this movie, when they're not in the arena, had let all the scenes be pitched at that crazy level, because you've got these decadent twin emperors who like they look like they wandered in off the set of Caligula, like they're both really sallow and like syphilitic, this is the kind of movie where like the character actors get to look like they have a venereal disease, but the movie stars all have great teeth, Yeah, I just it gets kind of boring, and you're sort of waiting for the next either like new caftan from Denzel Washington or like big like battle in the arena. And when it's not that, it's kind of a snooze.
Yeah, Paul Mescal though is totally solid here. It has giant sandals to fill.
Yeah, but I think solid is the word here because it's like he gets an Oscar nomination, and like All of Us Strangers is the movie where he gets to act, and this is the movie where he gets to be like a presence,
a movie star,
because it's about like he's got the Steve Reeves body, and his voice is very kind of like I was saying, it has that kind of like solid plumminess of like young Richard Burton or Richard Harris, and
that's why he was cast though, because he looks like young Richard Harris.
Sure. So he's declaiming a lot, and it's not really a great performance, but he is a movie star presence, and he definitely delivers on that front. Pedro Pascal's kind of stuck with being the boring good guy here.
I agree.
He's conflicted about like his plans for the dream of Rome, but like it's not juicy. He has to kind of be the straight man to Mescal and Washington, and Washington is definitely having a ball here, but I wish that like there were more of that and more of that energy here.
I agree. I love a swaggering Denzel Washington performance, and just like his delivery over and over again is so inspired. Like the way he'll take a beat and like make you wait for him to finish a sentence. Like, ooh, what's he gonna do? Like you're holding your breath because it's just so inspired and so showy. And I enjoyed like the knowing hamminess of it, and I enjoyed the evil, cruel twins. And Connie Nielsen looks incredibly beautiful. As always, like she hasn't aged in 24 years. It's the same costume designer, the same cinematographer. So like it all looks great. It's like solid old-fashioned filmmaking, but maybe, as you say, like a little too restrained when it could have just been all big and showy. Like we want more Caligula.
Yeah,
right?
Please, by comparison. But look, obviously a lot of people love the OG Gladiator more than we do. So you may well love this one more than we do too.
Right. Okay. I'm going to say like a 7.5. Like if I were to review this for Ebert, I would give it 3 out of 4 stars. So I'm going to say like 7.5 because it's a solid, well-made movie with a really great cast. If you want the big experience, we saw it in IMAX, and like that sound, you feel it. So I think if you want the big experience on the screen, this does it, but I just wish it were more interesting.
I'm like a 6.3. I think that it's that movie that gives you tastes of what it could have been, and it's like, why isn't it just this all the time? And it's not like I want nothing but sensation or nothing but like, wildness or whatever, but like Ridley Scott has it in him, but he won't commit to the bit. And I think it sometimes in movies like this and House of Gucci, it just ultimately to the film's detriment. And that was my takeaway here.
Yeah. Well, let us know if you're psyched about Gladiator 2. Let us know your thoughts on it. And it's coming out November 22nd.